Hey everybody, it's Ben here. I'm working on converting this 1950s farm tractor to electric. It's been an interesting project so far, but it's also been kind of complicated. It's got some challenges to it. Among them are the fact that the front of the tractor connected to the back of the tractor with the engine. So when I removed the engine, I needed some other way to connect them together. So the solution I chose was to use some frame rails from a sister tractor that they actually use the same transmission bell housing, which was great because these just bolted right onto there. Unfortunately, what I found out is that these frame rails are wider than the engine was. And the downside of that is we've got this wide front set of tires here and kind of a bolster that goes back to the bottom of the transmission. That lets the front wheels go like this, going over uneven ground. But because these are wider than the engine, there's not much clearance between this part and these rails here. But I still just need this whole thing held together so I can keep working on the project. So I decided I'm going to temporarily connect the front to the back so I can just keep working on this thing. Even though it's not ideal, I'm still gonna have to do something different. I'm gonna make it work for now so I can continue the project. So what I did is I trimmed just a hair more off this, and I used the cutoffs from the rails vertically here because it happened to line up well enough. There was some holes and slots in here to line up with the holes in the front so I could run a couple of bolts through. So you can see I've already got that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this connection, and then hopefully I can take all these blocks and jacks and everything out of here. The big thing I did was to make sure the rails were level, the front was level so that everything's pretty level and square. The other thing I wanted to make sure is that when this is all put back together, the sheet metal fits right. So this was a lot of monkeying around to kind of get the front angles correct, but now if I hang the sheet metal on there, basically everything lines up. So that's kind of the idea, is that it'll be able to go back together, and I'll still be able to change these rails. I'll probably do something custom, similar to this, but just moving it up a little bit higher. So now we're gonna bust out the welder, and one of the things when I built my garage, I put in a number of NEMA 1450 outlets, and the reason why I did that was so I could just use plug-in EVSEs for charging electric cars, but if I wanted to plug in something else like a welder, I'd have the power available. Pretty ugly welding. Okay, here we go, doing a little welding on the far side here now. Yeah, it's some nasty welding. Okay, so after some of those really nasty welds, I played with the settings some more and got some better welding. Still ugly, but better. So in theory, I can get all the welding stuff out of the way and I can start lowering these jacks and in theory, have the front and the back of the tractor attached to each other with nothing else supporting it. So I just lowered that jack, took out a hunk of wood, still have that jack stand right there, and now I'm going to lower that pair of jacks out there. And hopefully now this works. Let's see, lefty loosey. Yes. Okay, well at this point the tractor is actually sitting on the front axle, on the front wheels. Took those jacks out, just have a jack stand under there, but not touching anything, and it's on the back wheels. Not sure if I'd want to jump up and down on it, but it didn't fall apart right away, so that's cool.
The next thing I had to do was clean up. Working on this project, there were just so many tractor parts around. There was still the drained oil, just a lot of things like that. So I set to work cleaning up all my tools and the parts so that I'd have space for rolling the tractor.
Okay, let's see if it rolls. Tire pressure is probably kind of low. I suppose we should make sure it's in neutral. I can't steer it because I don't have the steering wheel on. Whoops. Okay, so it's in neutral. I'm gonna give this a push, see if anything happens. Oh my gosh. Oh, the left-hand tire is super low on air. I had to let some air out of it to get it leveled before. Okay, I got some air in that tire. That took a few minutes. And okay, it's rocking, so we can actually move it now. That's cool. So now I will take off the parking brake. Still a big heavy thing, but the tires are deformed a little bit from just sitting. Woo! Cool. It rolls. Okay, here's probably another thing that sort of sounds dumb, but isn't. I don't actually know which direction the engine spins on this, so I'm just going to put it in gear, give it a push so we can see what direction the driven shaft of the transmission spins. Okay, I'm going to put the tractor into first gear and then try giving the tractor a push forward. We're going to see what direction that shaft spins. I think it's going to spin clockwise, but I don't know that. Here we go, pushing forward in first gear. Okay, go back to neutral. Push it back. Okay, gonna go into fifth gear. That was forwards in fifth gear. Okay, and just one last one. I'm gonna put the tractor in neutral, move it forward a bit, and then put it in reverse. I'm going to push it backwards, so this should be powered clockwise. So I should push backwards, should still spin right. Well, I've now got everything cleared from under the tractor other than dirt and all the grease it dripped all over. But the front and back are held together, at least temporarily. Steering is connected. Of course, that doesn't provide any structure. But down here we have from the front axle to up and under the transmission. And then with those frame rails coming off the bell housing up to those cutoffs of the frame rails welded in place, and a pair of bolts on either side into this big casting which holds the front axle. And it's starting to look more like a tractor without all the jacks and the junk in the way and everything. Now I feel like I can finally start getting some work done on it. You can see just how big the engine is. Not really that wide, but really, really tall, kind of the main thing. Certainly much bigger than the Nissan Leaf motor you see right back here. So how I have these frame rails in here is not really how I permanently plan to have this finished. But it's good enough for now so that I can keep working on the project. I actually feel like I did get a little accomplished today. The world's been a very strange place lately, you know, the whole COVID-19 thing and a lot of other weird stuff going on. But I feel like now I can keep working on this. I did just get in a controller from Thunderstruck Motors for the Nissan Leaf electric motor. So I should be able to start hooking that up, play around with it for spinning up the motor. I hope you like these videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay charged up.